Okay, everyone, I believe we are live and direct. Martina, are you giving us the go-ahead to get underway?
You can go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone, to this special emergency council meeting on the 26th of May. It is live, of course, on YouTube and will be recorded as well, and we hope everyone is getting through this terrible situation we're in. Many of us still without power. I'm going to call the roll, please. First of all, Deputy Mayor Moher.
Here.
Councillor Watt.
Present.
Councillor Landsman. Sheila is not with us. And Councillor Watson?
I'm here.
Is here. Okay, with a quorum of council, we will call the meeting to order at 9:33. Also with us is our CAO, Alana Arthurs. Alana, thank you. Our clerk, Martina Chade-Hartwig. Okay, Martina. And our chief building official, Brian Fawcett. Brian, thank you for being with us.
Excuse me, I
Yes.
am here, just in case you didn't hear me say I'm present.
Okay, for the record, Sheila is present after all. The one and only reason that we're here today is to present a bylaw to council, and that's the appointment of additional building inspectors to the building department to address the damage that we're going through because of the storm. That's the only reason we are here today. And we respectfully acknowledge that we're on the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississauga and Ojibwe, and we offer our gratitude to the First Peoples for their care for and their teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor those teachings. Is there any pecuniary interest with the matter we're dealing with today?
Nope.
Nope.
Seeing no hands, could I have a motion, please, to adopt the agenda for today? Heather and Sheila, all in favor? That motion is approved. And it's time to get into the only reason we're here today, and I'm going to turn it over to Martina and also some comments from Brian, and we'll go from there. Go ahead, Martina.
Thank you, Mayor. So the bylaw that's before you is bylaw 2022-27. This is an emergency bylaw we've pulled together to allow Brian to appoint building inspectors during this emergency. I'm actually going to turn it over to Brian. He's been working with another CBO who's very kindly joined us to help us out during this emergency. So.
Yeah. So the purpose of this bylaw is to allow for the authority for the CBO to appoint inspectors. Generally, under the Building Code Act, it's council's role to appoint a CBO, and then the CBO role to administer and enforce the act. And the appointment of inspectors is actually silent in the Building Code Act as to whether that falls on staff or on council directly. And so many municipalities already have this type of bylaw in place, but we have not had that just due to our history, as a growing municipality. So this came up quite rapidly here, that now all of a sudden we're in dire need of a lot of hands to continue to assess the damage caused by this storm. And so through the OBOA, which is our Building Officials Association, we've had a number of volunteer building inspectors who are going to come and join us in the coming weeks to help do these inspections and assessments and assist our repairs in the recovery efforts. But I can't have them lawfully on people's property unless they are appointed inspectors. And so the only way to do that is to either appoint them by bylaw or appoint them by a delegated bylaw, which is the purpose of this bylaw. So that's what we're here for today.
Okay, no, thank you, Brian. It's very clear. Situations like this happen, and we have to react. Are there any questions of Brian before I ask for a motion to approve the bylaw? Carl?
I think, Brian, you might have an estimate of how many building permits you could be required to issue over the next few weeks, and it's probably just a preliminary estimate at this stage because we're still learning more and more damaged buildings and so on out there.
Yeah, through your worship, to Deputy Mayor Moore, based on our initial assessment, 24 hours after the storm, we were anticipating approximately 10 buildings that had been destroyed and 100 buildings that would need permits for significant damage. Based on follow-up assessments in the last 2 days, we're looking at approximately 20 to 30 buildings that have been destroyed. Obviously, about a dozen barns of that, making up that number, and then probably 300 to 400 buildings that have damage that may need permits. So, just for reference, our standard building permit volume is, pre-COVID, 2018, 2019, we issued 180 to 2 permits per year, and so for us to issue 400 permits as a result of one weather event, it's a significant amount of workload. So now, granted, a lot of these permits hopefully will be relatively straightforward because they may just be repairs and fixes and things like that. But some people may decide to undertake more renovations, and so it can be quite a lot of work to get through all of this as we go forward.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Another question? Tom, go ahead.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. Is there, and this is maybe to staff and council, seeing the devastation that our townships put in and the dire straits and stuff like that, and based on like what Brian just said, some of them may just be to fix them up, so I got some of them may be, let's do some other renovations while we're at it because we have to do them anyway. Is there anything council or the township can do to give a little bit of relief on what it's going to cost for these building permits, or like maybe subsidize somehow? I don't know. That's just people are going through enough hardship. I'm just wondering if we can help them out somehow.
Through your worship.
Yeah,
So we had discussed this matter at the EOC level, and so the intent certainly is to not charge building permit fees for a very specific circumstance, which is the demolition of a farm building. In that circumstance, building permits aren't generally actually required for certain circumstances of demolition of farm buildings. And so in order to help move these things through quickly, we would like to still issue those permits for them, and obviously respect that we don't want to have them incur that cost, especially when insurance is not going to cover that. Generally, their insurance will cover demolition and rebuilds and things like that, and the permit fee is part of that insurance settlement. But in certain circumstances where people are not insured, or where they're potentially expanding the scope beyond their insurance, I think that would be where it'd be more appropriate to look at doing something a little bit different than the normal. And so we need a little bit of time to come back in terms of exactly what the request is going to be for folks. The primary urgency right now is going to be to do these assessments and then start issuing permits for people to lawfully clear up what they need to do. But as people start to rebuild, we'd like to look at that option of what's available to us and what people are requesting from us.
I can assure everyone that we're doing everything we possibly can to help people. As you know, we are under a state of emergency. Staff are committed to having as much compassion and heart as possible in every way, so we're doing everything we can. Heather, go ahead.
Recognizing to your point that we are in a state of emergency, and knowing that our service standards required under that are prescribed under legislation are going to be different. Can Brian, you perhaps speak to what time frame people should expect or could expect? Obviously, it is extreme circumstances, but just speak to the I believe it's a 10-day standard that's normally there, and also as it relates to applications that were already made prior to the storm, assuming those people are still willing and able to move forward with their projects, where they fit in the queue.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the building department has launched a specific page on our website for those that do have access to be able to view it. And so it is live now. You can find it under the building and renovating section, and then it's the May 21, 2022 windstorm building department page. And so it kind of has just a brief summary, and we'll update this page as we move forward. The first step is to help we're going to basically be assessing all of these properties. And so residents have access to a survey, a very brief survey that they can just do a self-assessment on their property in terms of, what level of damage did they receive. And that will help us hone in on exactly what our numbers are going to be for responses. In terms of permits, permit issuance, permit applications, and permit volume, the applications that are coming in related to this, if they are urgent permits, it's quite easy for me to issue them. We can work with the people, and that we'll have those dedicated resources from the other inspectors to help those people directly. And so I think the easiest way to sort of explain this is that we're almost going to isolate the two, this issue as a separate matter from the regular day-to-day. And so building permits that were already in review, they're still there. They're still going to be processed as normal. Obviously, the last day or two has been a bit of a hiccup for me being involved with this matter. But once, hopefully by the end of this week, once we have our emergency procedures more honed in, then we'll be able to return to just handling that volume as normal. Our building official and our building admin have been handling those matters as they would during the normal course of events. And so the storm damage portions, in terms of getting the permits issued, they will be issued on a priority basis. Certainly, the ones that need to be dealt with as an unsafe issue are going to be our first priority. And then moving down, obviously, if there's damage that can be repaired in order for somebody to return home, that's going to be very important over issuing a demolition permit or a rebuild permit for an accessory building that nobody's going to use. So that's sort of our priority for now. And then this is very much a moving target as we move forward over the next days, weeks, and months. This recovery will take some time, and unfortunately, it is a process.
Yep, very unfortunate situation we're in. We are doing the best we can. I'm sure that all members of council have been in touch with Alana, I'm sure, to get updates on a daily basis. So please continue to do that. We're trying to cover all the bases, working in conjunction with the county. We've notified our MP, our MPP. So things are well under control, and we will get through this by all helping each other out and having a little bit of compassion for everyone. Okay, I see no more hands. I think it's quite obvious why we need this bylaw. I'm going to ask someone to move the bylaw. Martina, do you want to read it, just capsulize it so we all know what we're talking about?
Absolutely. Just give me one moment to bring it up on my screen here.
Carl, you had your hand up. Did you want to?
I was going to move the bylaw, but I'll wait for the.
No, that'll be fine. I just wanted her to read it so we're all sure.
Very good. So this is Bylaw 2027, a bylaw respecting the appointment of a chief building official and inspectors for the Township of Douro-Dummer and the delegation of appointment powers. So this bylaw restates that Brian Fawcett is our CBO and had been previously appointed under Bylaw 2018-41. It further restates that there is a shared service agreement with the Township of Havelock, Belmont, Methuen, and that is staying in place and is in effect. And further, it allows our chief building official the authorization to carry out the administrative function of appointing inspectors, including the function of revoking those appointments under Section 3 of the Building Code, subject to the chief building official maintaining an up-to-date list of inspectors, and that prior to their appointment, each candidate will hold the necessary legislative qualifications for the position of inspector.
Wow. You don't want to repeat that. No.
I can if you want, but.
Okay. So Carl is going to move that motion, correct? And the
Yes.
seconder to that motion, Sheila. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? That motion is approved. Thanks, everyone, for reacting so quickly. And we got to do what we got to do, and we'll try to keep everyone safe. Could I have confirming bylaw, please? Moved by Tom, second by Sheila. All in favor? That motion is approved, and a motion to adjourn the meeting. Heather? And Carl? All in favor? That motion is approved. Thanks, everyone, for being available on such short notice, and we will continue to do the best we can. Sheila?
Yes, this is not to do with the meeting, but it is confirmed that the awards night has been postponed.
The county awards night is moved to June 23rd, and it is by invitation only, by the way, just in case, because of
Okay.
COVID concern. So it's
Okay,
only
thank you.
the recipients and their family.
Okay, thank you.
Is there something else related to this bylaw, Tom?
Actually, if I may, it was a comment that you made earlier about keeping in contact, council keeping in contact with staff. Email has been down, that certificate thing that has to be renewed every year by microage. So I haven't had an update with anything since Monday. So, but I'm hoping it's well underway to get fixed. So this one I had to get a separate
The
one.
telephone works though, right, Martina? Or,
Yes, it does. And we
Yeah.
do have microwage on the case about that certificate to get that fixed as soon as possible. So we apologize for that confusion.
Okay,
Thank
that's
you.
it. We've had a motion to adjourn. Thank you all very much. We'll get together when we need, and let's all stick together and get through this. Thank you, everyone. Please stay safe.
Bye, everyone.